want to say it's like elephant blue or blue elephant, or there's an elephant involved in it somehow. Hello, knitting friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about summer yarns. I'm going to be sharing 5 of my favorites, as well as what I have made with them, as well as my summer yarns wish list. So if that sounds like it will be of interest to you, grab your whip and let's dive in. All right, friends, before we dive into the summer yarns, let's go ahead and announce the winners of the pattern giveaway from the video 2 weeks ago. So I am so sorry if you missed out, but 2 weeks ago, I shared 12 new summer knitting patterns from some smaller independent designers and promised 3 winners would each win the pattern of their choice. So here they are. And if your name is here, please email me at this email address, send me a Ravelry ID, and I will gift you the pattern of your choice. Thank you to everyone who participated, who watched the video. We will definitely do some more videos like this in the future, so be sure to stay tuned for that, maybe a future chance to win a free knitting pattern. Okay, so summer yarns. Summer is officially here. It is June. It is 84 degrees here. Humidity is increasing, but it's not too bad just yet. We are supposed to get nice and summery pool weather by the time the weekend gets here. When I started knitting almost 20 years ago, your options for summer yarn were basically a kind of crunchy worsted weight cotton and maybe a lighter weight linen that felt like wire to knit with. Options were very limited. Knitters these days, however, are really kind of spoiled for choice for summer yarns. There are a lot of them out there. In fact, there are so many, it might be more challenging now to pick the right one for your project. So I thought it might be helpful if I shared some of my favorite summer warm weather yarns. So I'm going to be sharing my top 5, and what makes these my 5 favorites is that they are both nice to work with and nice to wear. So I've definitely tried some yarns that are only one or the other, and they might be passable. It might be worth, knitting with an uncomfortable yarn to get a nice finished product. The reverse is usually not true. But today I'm focusing on some yarns that have both pros. Nice to knit, nice to wear. I will say summer yarn is a bit subjective, so depending on where you live, some of these may or may not work for you. I will also say that when it is, 95 degrees and like 80% humidity, probably none of these are really going to be great to wear. The things that we, commercially produced garments that we are normally wearing in the summer are worked at such, the yarn is so fine gauge, and nothing that we have is going to get even close to that. So in the, worst dog days of summer, even a fingering weight cotton linen blend may not be comfortable. But I think most of these yarns will work for most people experiencing summer most days of summer. So as I said, I'm going to be sharing the yarns as well as what I knit with them. And I do have something in kind of every price range. So we're going to start from the more economically priced, budget-friendly yarns, and then move up to the pricier yarns at the end. And again, I have remembered to bring my iPad so I can look up all of these yarn specs, and I don't have to kind of guess or rely on my memory, which is pretty shoddy these days. All right, so we are going to start our top 5 yarns with one that actually comes in 2 different weights and is pretty budget friendly, and that is the Cascade Yarns Ultra Pima and Ultra Pima Fine. So the Ultra Pima is a DK weight, the Fine is a fingering weight. So the Cascade Yarns Ultra Pima, the DK weight is 219 yards, and that retails for, it looks like about $14 is the regular price on Webs, but it actually currently is on sale at 20% off, so it's only $11. The Ultra Pima Fine, as I said, that's the fingering weight. It says sport weight. I have definitely used it in more of a fingering weight way. You can go either way. But that one is 137 yards to, I assume, 50 grams. And that one, again, also 20% off currently for $580. Usually retails for $725. So these are fairly economically priced. A summer garment, it's going to maybe be in the, I don't know, 700 to 900 yards range. If you've got to get, let's say, 6 of these and you're paying about $6, that's $36 for your summer garments. That's not too bad. So both the Ultra Pima and Ultra Pima Fine are 100% cotton, which in general, I am not necessarily a huge fan of. I like more blends for the summer because cotton can tend to be stiff and uncomfortable. It can tend to start to look kind of worn out. Some of it pills. And I think in general, blends kind of help counteract sort of the negatives of a lot of the summer kind of plant fibers while highlighting the positives. However, this one, as I said, 100% cotton and really works well. So I have made a couple of garments with this. I only have one here to show you in person, but I will show you a photo of the other one. So this is my adorable little beach cover-up, swim cover-up. This is called Beach House. I don't remember who the designer is. This was published, I don't know, like 10 years ago, maybe-ish, maybe a little bit longer. And it is just an adorable little beach cover-up. And as you can see, I mean, I wear this a lot during the summer. And other than, this snag here from my cat, it has held up so well. There is not like pilling that anything here. It's not getting that kind of like fuzz that, like a lot of cottons will just start to look like they've got like a thin layer of fuzz over the top. It doesn't have any of that. It is very comfortable to wear, although of course that has a lot to do with this nice open stitch pattern. It has just held up very well for its age. So obviously this is, a pretty small garment, very open, but I did design the boardwalk tee originally also using the Cascade Ultra Pima. This was, as you can see, it is all over stockinette. I used a lot more yarn and this took a much longer time to knit, and the experience was lovely. It was a fine yarn to work with. It was not, uncomfortable. It was not hard on my hands. Again, I don't know when this design is from. This was a good, probably a decade ago. And even then, we still mostly had cotton yarns, not a lot of these nice blends. But as far as a cotton yarn goes, this one was very nice to work with and it holds up really well. It has held its shape pretty well. So cotton yarns have a tendency to either, weigh themselves down and stretch out lengthwise. They also tend to kind of shrink back in widthwise. I really don't have any of that going on with this yarn. It's just, if you are looking for a nice basic cotton yarn for your summer projects, I really think the Ultra Pima or the Ultra Pima Fine are a nice economical choice. Again, they come in some nice colors. They're pretty, the Cascade brand in general is pretty readily available. As I said, I had just seen this on the Webs or yarn.com website. There are 26 colors here of the Ultra Pima Fine. Let's see who else is selling it. Looks like Woolen Company has it. Little Knits, which is a discount and bulk buy site, they also have it. So Jimmy Bean's Wool has it. As I said, it's easy to get your hands on. It's very reasonably priced, and it's a nice yarn to both wear and work with. So that is our first one, Cascade Ultra Pima / Ultra Pima Fine. You get 2 weight options. All right, next up, Still in the pretty budget-friendly price range, we have Knit Picks Shine Sport. It's a sport weight yarn, as you may have guessed, and it is available from Knit Picks. The Shine Sport is a blend of 60% Pima cotton, 40% modal. Modal is a semi-synthetic, like it's made from plants, but it's very processed. It's sort of a, in this case, giving it a little bit of a silkiness without sort of the price of silk. So let's see what it says. It says the touch of modal made from beech wood fiber gives the Pima cotton a lustrous depth akin to silk, but without the cost or special care silk requires. So this is, again, a sport weight yarn, 110 yards per 50 grams, and it retails for $6 a ball. I am a Knit Picks affiliate, so if you do want to grab some of this yarn, shopping links are in the description box down below, and that is greatly appreciated. And what I have made from this is my Annapolis pullover. Now, again, this is a project that is at least 10 years old. I think it was published in the same issue of Hollow Knits that the Beach House pattern was published in. So this has stood up really well for being at least a decade old. So there is a little bit of, I wouldn't even really say like pilling. There's just a little bit of a fuzziness on the surface of the fabric. I've never like deep pilled or anything with this, and it is still so soft. So the modal, I'm actually not sure if it's modal or model. I'm not, the modal, I'm going to say, really makes this very soft to work with. You know, you still have the thing that makes, one of the things that makes a lot of the plant fibers more difficult to work with is that they don't have a lot of elasticity. So it's a little bit harder on your hands. And that's still the case with this, but you don't have the added unpleasantness of like a really crunchy, uncomfortable yarn. It is very soft, even though it is not so elastic. And as I said, this has stood up really well. Now, first of all, this is long sleeves. I will say this is pretty heavy. I would not wear this even if it didn't have sleeves. I probably would not wear this in the super heat of, you know, dead July when it's, again, 95 degrees and so humid. It's like as humid as possible without actually raining. I wouldn't wear this then. It would be heavy. But this time of year in June, maybe not with the long sleeves, definitely. As the weather is getting cooler in August, hopefully, and September, definitely. Has a little bit of a sheen, which I think is nice. So again, that's probably coming from that modal. And again, I've never deep pilled this, and other than, you know, a few little bitty pills here, like right under the arm where you would never get them, where you would expect to get them, it's not very pilly. It has held its shape really well. You know, it has not, this is a very open work stitch, and you could definitely stretch it out more if you wanted to, but it has not, you know, it looks basically the same as when I first knitted. It has not, you know, kind of shrunk back in. It also has not stretched out lengthwise. It's not real droopy and saggy or anything. It was a nice to work with, and it is also still comfortable to wear. And again, it comes in lots of colors, as do most of the Knit Picks yarns. So let's see. I mean, I'm not going to scroll through all of them, but yeah, like lots of bright colors. So, ooh, that winter sage color is really cute. Lots of neutrals, really beautiful. But overall, I think this is a really nice, versatile for summer, not as heavy as a pure cotton, softer, more comfortable to wear and knit. So again, that one is the Shine Sport. Next up, we're going to talk, I'm turning the shirt right side out. Next up, we are going to talk about a yarn that I actually just recently used and have been really happy with, and really hoping to use it again soon. And that is the Illimani Sabri. So again, this is a yarn that there are two weights. So I'm specifically have used the Sabri 1, which is the fingering weight. I believe there's also a worsted weight. And both yarns are a blend of 85% organic cotton and 15% baby alpaca. Now, do I want to be wearing alpaca in the summer? Probably not. But in this case, we're talking about such a tiny amount of alpaca that what it's actually mostly doing is just making the yarn softer and drapier without adding really any noticeable warmth. Again, maybe not in the dead of summer, but for most of summer, I think this is going to be a nice choice. And I just used this for my stromboli. So I just finished my stromboli, I believe early last month, and it was lovely to knit with the yarn, and it has been lovely to wear. Now I will say, because of the pattern here, which is very open, I would have to wear something under this in the summer, and that's really going to increase your warmth if you've got like a camisole underneath. So while I may not be wearing this in the summer, if I had made just sort of a fingering weight t-shirt that I did not have to wear a layer under, I think this would work for most of the summer for most people. So as I said, 85% organic cotton, 15% baby alpaca. It is 437 yards per 100 grams. So you probably, for most summer garments, maybe need 2 to 3 skeins of this. I bought my yarn when we were on vacation in Williamsburg at whatever their adorable little local yarn shop is in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I want to say it was like $16, $17. So at Close Knit Portland, for example, this is retailing for $15.75. So that means your whole garment is going to cost you 2 to 3 skeins, 30 to 45 bucks. That is still fairly reasonably priced. Now, if you wanted this for something, with an oversized sweater with long sleeves, obviously that's going to be a little bit more yarn. I used about a skein and a half of this. I did make the size 1 of this. I kind of wish I had made the size 2. I didn't want a ton of ease, but like I wanted ease in between. We don't need to get into this. This is not the point of this video. Had I wanted to make the size 2, I still would have had plenty of yarn for that. So I used 1.5 skeins for the size 1 of the stromboli. You can see this is so light and drapey for a cotton. It is like you're not going to confuse it with wool or anything while you're knitting it. It still doesn't have that elasticity, and alpaca is also not a very elastic fiber. So it's definitely not as nice to work with as a wool, perhaps, if you're used to, but it was much better than most cotton yarns that I have tried. It was not super splitty. It was not bad on my hands. It really opened up nicely with the blocking. It's still showing off that lace. It is not trying to kind of shrink back in. It has been lovely to wear, very comfortable. I will say it's breathable, but then also, I got a lot of eyelets here. But as I said, I do think if you were to make a t-shirt with this, as long as you didn't have to wear camisole under it, this is probably going to work for you throughout the summer months. So the Illimani yarn, not as widely available as something like Cascade or Knit Picks. As I said, I got it at a local yarn shop in Williamsburg, Virginia. Online, it looks like you can get it at Apricot Yarn and Supply. I don't know where that is. You can get it at the Craftivist, Knit ATX, Amazing Threads, Close Knit Portland. So if you want to do a little online yarn shopping, it looks like the Loopy U carries it. So it's definitely available, online, but certainly not as ubiquitous as something like a Cascades or a Knit Picks. And, it is a little bit pricier than the yarns we have already spoken about, but you really don't need a lot of it. With 437 yards per skein, you don't need that many skeins for most summer garments. So Illimani Sabri 1, lovely. The 2, again, is the same blend. I do think it's a worsted weight, though. That's probably not going to be great for any point in the summer. I would not I would not really go heavier than a DK weight yarn. And even that is really kind of like a May, September weight, even in a plant fiber. But this has been lovely. It's so soft. I love the colors. Not a huge range of colors, but a fair number. Let's see. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. It looks like it has 21 colors on the Illimani's website. Obviously, you're not going to find all of those colors at every store. But it says that the grays, and this is one of the gray colors, are the result of a melange with the organic cotton and the very rare natural black of the alpaca. So you can get it in some bright colors, but the natural colors have a lot of depth as well. So Illimani Sabri, I really want to use this again. Hopefully, I will get a chance to in the near future. All right, next up, we have one that, again, is perhaps more of a May, September yarn, but it really depends on what kind of summer you have. And that is the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. So this is a 70-30 cotton merino blend, obviously, from Knitting for Olive. It is 273 yards for a 50-gram ball, and on their website, it retails for $8.60 US. However, because Knitting for Olive is produced overseas, if you order from them, there will be a duty. If you're buying it from a US-based shop, that duty has probably already been added, and it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So this is lovely. And if you can get away with 30% wool, which depending on your summer, maybe works for you, maybe not. I'm definitely not going to get away with that kind of blend for part of the summer, but I think for part of the summer, especially in the evenings, it could definitely work. So what I have made with this is this top, which is my own design, and this is the Orilla top in the shade, I want to say it's like elephant blue or blue elephant, or there's an elephant involved in it somehow. You just tell me. Elephant blue. Okay, it is elephant blue. They do have quite a few colors of the cotton merino, not as many as their other yarns. So like the regular finger weight merino, they have many more colors, but they still have a nice palette of colors for this. And this is so lovely to work with. And again, the wool, now you've got 30% of merino wool here. So that is going to be adding some warmth, which is why this is not going to be a dead of summer yarn for most people. But it makes the knitting feel pretty much like you're knitting with wool. It gives it a lot more elasticity as you are knitting. It gives it a lot more memory. It's also giving this cotton quite a bit of drape for a cotton yarn. One of the big things with plant-based fibers is that when you've got ribbing, it tends not to actually cinch in like it's generally designed to. If you've got ribbing in a cotton linen garment, it's probably more decorative than functional, but with the wool in here, you can see this has ribbing all along the back, and that is pulling in, not perhaps as much as a regular wool, but much more than a 100% cotton linen, something like that. So I just loved working with this. It is, as I said, soft to knit, soft to wear, still pretty breathable with the cotton, nice stitch definition, nice memory. Just, you're really getting, I think, with the cotton merino, kind of the best of both worlds. You're getting a lot of the pluses from the cotton, and then the added merino is counterbalancing some of cotton's negatives, like, it can be uncomfortable to work with. It doesn't have much elasticity. It doesn't have much memory, doesn't have a lot of drape. Really, this is a great blend. I absolutely love, love, love the cotton merino. So if you are in an environment where you can get away with that much wool in the summer, I think it's a great, because a lot of people don't enjoy using the pure silk. It's fine. I don't love it or hate it. I think it looks nice once it's done. It's kind of a so-so experience to work with. If you really don't like it, I think the cotton merino is a great substitute. So as I said, you can order this directly from Knitting for Olive. You're going to pay a duty. It says it's a 15% duty. So if the regular price is $8.60, 15% of that is another $1.20-ish. So that's putting you up to almost $10 a ball. And of course, there'll be shipping as well. $10 for, what did I say, 273 yards. You will probably need 4 or 5 balls, maybe 6 balls, depending on your kind of summer garment. You can get this definitely from retailers in the US, but they will already have had the duty added. So, for example, it is available from Woolen Company. Their price for it is $9.75 a ball. So, as I said, getting closer to $10 a ball for that. Definitely not as easily accessible as a Knit Picks yarn or a Cascade, but if you can afford the price point on this, I just absolutely love this yarn. Again, if you are in Florida or Texas, maybe this is not your yarn for summer. If you are in maybe the Pacific Northwest or New England, probably a better chance. Here in the mid-Atlantic, like I said, July, probably not. Early August, unlikely. But in the evenings in June and September, this is just lovely. And I cannot wait to have another chance to work with this. Again, that is the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. All right, and then the last yarn I'm going to talk about is definitely on the pricey side. It is definitely a luxury yarn, but it is, I will say, my absolute favorite summer yarn. I am currently wearing it, and that is the Magpie Fibers Equinox Sport. There is a worsted weight. It's way too heavy for the summer, but the Sport is a real winner. So I have two things that I have knit with the Sport. One is this, which is my design, Veraniego. I'll put a photo in here so you can actually see it a little bit better. And then I also knit this gelato tank top with almost the same color. These are both one of the beaver colors. I don't know which ones, but these sort of brownie pinks that they have. So as I said, I've got two garments with this because I really do love it. Also, my headband here, which is also my Onoportum scarf in a headband version. I also use leftovers from the Equinox Sport. I absolutely love it. So this is a luxury yarn and it's pricey. It is $38 a skein for 365 yards. The good news is for most summer garments, you're probably going to need 2 to 3 skeins. So still going to be less than, if you want to spring for luxury yarn for a sweater, that's a much bigger investment. Using a kind of nice luxury yarn for a little summer top is going to cut down on your expense at least a little bit. This is the Pollyanna Penelope Pocket Show. Ma'am, this is a 65% silk, 35% linen blend in a sport weight. Definitely you can work it at a fingering weight gauge pretty close. And I absolutely love it. It is lovely to knit. It is lovely to wear. It is so comfortable. It has nice shine. It has drape. It is soft. It is breathable. I absolutely am a fangirl for the Equinox Sport yarn. So this is the gelato tank top that I knit, oh gosh, 4 or 5 years ago perhaps. This is a pattern by Gabrielle Vecina. And you can see it has lovely stitch definition for this lace part here, which doesn't seem to want to focus, but it looks lovely. We have lots of nice drape. These straps are some kind of I-cord. It's a little bit wider, so it's not a 3-stitch I-cord, but they are not like stretching out. They are holding up really nicely. The fabric still looks beautiful. No fuzzing or pilling or anything. Just looks beautiful. And the same with the top that I am wearing. So comfortable. So I think I published this last summer. I did specifically design this top to have adjustable straps because even the best plant-based yarn is probably going to stretch out over time with its own weight. It's hanging from the shoulder. So these are adjustable, but it has been lovely. It has not stretched out. It is so comfortable. So this one I have washed and not worn recently. So right after washing, it does feel a little bit a little bit crunchy, and then with wear will soften up. But this top I haven't washed recently, and it feels like a comfortable t-shirt. I absolutely love this yarn. It is so lovely to both work with and to wear. So obviously, this is only available from Magpie Fibers. They do have a lovely range of colors for all of their yarns. They do have online ordering. It says 7 to 10 business days for yarn to be dyed and shipped. So if you are picking a color that they don't happen to have readily available, you will have to wait a little bit for it to be dyed. If you are in the Maryland area, they always have plenty of yarn in their storefront ready for you to buy. I really think this, if you can treat yourself, this is a great summer yarn. I absolutely love it. It's just a dream. And I'm not like sponsored or anything else by Magpie Fibers, so I just happen to really think this is a great yarn for summer if you're interested in something that you know is comfortable and a little bit luxurious to wear. I don't think you can go wrong with the Equinox Sport. Right, a little microphone issue there. Hopefully this one will stay on and we didn't miss too much in the last video. I'm not sure at what point the microphone crapped out. The last part I would like to include here is just a little bit about 3 summer yarns that I would really like to try. And so if you have tried them, I would love to hear your feedback. Please leave a comment. I've just been seeing them in a lot of places. They look nice. I don't have anywhere kind of nearby that I can check them out. It's always a leap of faith to buy yarn online that you have never tried before. So if you've got feedback about any of these, please share. So the first one is the Majo Garn Sunny Linen. This seems to be a sport-ish weight, blend of 50% linen, 27% baby alpaca, 18% cotton, and 5% fine merino wool. So a little heavier on the animal fibers here, more like the KFO cotton merino. Definitely you're going to be getting some warmth from those animal fibers. So maybe not a deep summer yarn, but still we've got a lot of linen and cotton that are going to give this drape and breathability. So definitely wearable for some parts of the summer for I think most of us. It's about 160 yards for a 50-gram ball. I don't know if you buy directly from them, it is $14 a ball. I don't know if that already includes the duties or what. I don't know if there are any US retailers. Let's see if we can find something. So it looks like there are some Canadian retailers that have it. I don't know about anybody in the US, but this just looks lovely. They have some really bright, beautiful colors. I'm interested in this particular fiber blend. $14 for 160 yards. That's a little bit on the pricier side. Again, this is something that is produced in Europe, not here, so it has to be imported, and there's going to be duties involved for us. Thank you. And if you know of anybody who is a US retailer that carries this, please do let me know. But it looks lovely. And the sage color on here, I know you can't really, but it's just, I love that. So if you've got feedback about that one, the Sunny Linen, let me know. The next one is apparently something like pretty much everybody has used, but I have not. And that is the Sandisgarn Lina or Lina or Tin Lina. This is, so the Tin Lina is the fingering weight, and the Sandisgarn Lina is, I believe, like a worsted heavy DK weight. And it is a blend of cotton, viscose, and linen. I definitely am hoping to get my hands on this for that sweater that's been in my queue forever, and I've already forgotten the name. I'll put the name here. It's been in my queue, and I really want to try it, and the Sandisgarn Lina is the recommended yarn. Everybody seems to be using, especially now at the summer, the Tin Lina. I've never tried it. I would love to see what the deal is, why everyone loves it so much. Cotton, viscose, linen. So viscose, kind of like the modal. It's like technically it's from a plant, but there's a lot of processing involved. So it's kind of a semi-synthetic, but it's going to definitely be giving you some drape in there mixed in with that. It just says cotton, so we don't know what kind of cotton, or if it's a Pima cotton or if it's where it's produced. Doesn't say any of that. And the Tin Lina, what did I say here? 240 yards at $9.75 a ball, available from woolen companies. This is definitely more widely available, at least in online retailers in the US. Nobody local, as far as I know, to me. I don't really have a lot of local yarn shops around here. And the ones we do have tend to carry more like big manufacturer yarns. Um, but, seems to be a very popular yarn, and I'd love to give it a try. I have, even though I said I do want to get the Lena for that sweater whose name I can't remember. I definitely wouldn't be wearing a long sleeve worsted weight cotton sweater in the summer. That would definitely be a sort of early fall piece for me. But it would be nice to try the tin Lena as a summer fiber and see what all the fuss is about. So again, if that's a yarn that you have tried, I would love to hear about it. And then the last one is a brand new one that probably you haven't tried because it just was released by Pearl Soho. And that is their new Japanese denim cotton yarn. So it is a 100% organically grown cotton in a sport weight. Again, I tend to prefer blends in the summer, but this just looks so beautiful. I love these denim-y colors. And it says it is far lighter and more elastic than a traditional cotton yarn. It has a chainette structure, knits up at a classic sport weight into a smooth, even fabric. And so that, again, is 50 grams, 158 yards, and definitely a bit on the pricier side at $15.50 a ball. So yeah, 15 bucks for just 158 yards is a little on the pricier side, but it just looks beautiful. I love the colors. I am intrigued by the idea of a chainette cotton yarn that, as it apparently says, is more elastic and is lighter. Cotton can get very heavy, as we have talked about throughout the video. And that one comes in just 4 colors, but they're very denim-y colors. Just, I don't know, something about that one is calling to me. And of course, most of them are already out of stock because everybody wants to try them. But that is the third one that I really would love to try for the summer if I can manage to grab a bit. Not sure what I would do with it, but that is the Japanese denim cotton from Pearl Soho. So again, if you have tried any of those yarns, I would love to hear your thoughts on them. So please do leave a comment. All right, friends, that is everything I have for you today. Any patterns and the yarns that I talked about will be linked in the description box down below. I do have affiliate links for shopping at Pearl Soho and Knit Picks. So if you're going to browse any of their yarns and maybe buy, and you use my links, I get a little kickback, and that is greatly appreciated. If you are one of the winners that I announced earlier in the video, please don't forget, send me an email so I can get your pattern to you. If you have a summer yarn that you absolutely love and I didn't mention it today, please give it a shout out in the comments. Always happy to hear about new yarns and other people's experiences. So definitely don't forget to share. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you enjoyed it or took anything from it, I hope you will give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. New knitting videos here every Saturday. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Media Peruana, and I will see you soon in another video.